Today, we're going to unlock a really fundamental piece of the Japanese language, how to talk about what you can and cannot do. Mastering this is a huge step towards sounding natural and fluent. So how do we actually do it?
It seems like a pretty simple question, right? How do you say something like, I can read this, or I can go there? Well, in Japanese, the answer isn't a single separate word. It's actually this powerful transformation that you apply directly to the verb itself.
The official name for these are potential verbs, or kanodoshi. And their whole job, their entire reason for being, is to bake the meaning of can or be able to right into the verb. So the key isn't learning some new word for can, it's learning the system for changing the verbs you already know.
And the great thing is, Japanese grammar is incredibly systematic. We can break this whole process down into a couple of clear blueprints. We're going to start with our first major category of verbs, the ones we call ru-verbs.
The rule for pretty much every regular ru-verb is just beautifully simple. All you do is find that final hiragana character, ru, and you just replace it with rareru. That single swap changes a verb from to do something into can do something. Let's see how that looks with a real example.
Okay, so here's that rule in action. We're using the verb miru, which means to see. We apply that formula, and miru becomes mirareru. Now, this table shows you how it works in a real sentence. For I can see, you'd say miraremasu. For I cannot see, it's miraremasen. And you can see that same clean, predictable pattern holds for the past tense too.
All right, so that covers one of the two big verb groups in Japanese. Pretty straightforward, right? Now let's move on to the second blueprint, because this is how we handle the other major group, the u-verbs.
Now, u-verbs have a slightly different rule, but it's just as consistent. It's a little two-step process. First, you take the verb's final u sound and you shift it over to its cousin in the e sound row. Then, you just add ru to the end.
Let's make that concrete with a super common u-verb, iku, meaning to go. Okay, so its final sound is ku, or ku. Following our rule, we shift ku to the e row, which makes it ke. Then we just add ru to the end, giving us ikeru, ikeru. And this slide shows you exactly how that plays out. Can go becomes ikemasu. Cannot go is ikemasen. And once again, the past tense follows that exact same logic. You see the system at work?
So we have our two main blueprints, and they covered the vast majority of verbs. But, just like in English, there are always a couple of rebels in the group. And that brings us to our final category, the irregular verbs.
So what's the big rule for irregular verbs? Well, there isn't one. They kind of do their own thing. Each one has its own special potential form that you just have to learn individually. But here's the good news. There are really only two you'll run into all the time, so it's a very short list to memorize. Okay, so we've broken down the whole system. We've got our ru-verbs, our u-verbs, and those couple of irregulars. Let's just pull it all together for a quick review to really lock in these core patterns.
This slide right here is basically the core of this entire explainer. This is what you need to remember. For ru-verbs, you just swap ru for raru, and for u-verbs, you shift that final sound to the e row and then add ru. If you can commit these two patterns to memory, you've got it.
And that's really the crucial thing here. This isn't just some abstract grammar lesson you have to memorize. By really getting these rules down, you have genuinely unlocked a completely new way to express yourself. You can now start talking about your skills, your opportunities, your possibilities, all in Japanese.
So, we've walked through the mechanics, we've seen the patterns in action. The only question left is probably the most important one. Now that you have this key, what doors are you going to unlock? What can you say now?